For the most part, it was successful, yay. But now we are gonna be working on many different things now, meaning I have Eileen's repeat. Eileen decided to add hands to things, which is not a bad thing, I'm not complaining. But there's something, so you guys can see it. This looks really cool, Eileen, by the way. Look at that. Looks cool, right? But has anyone tried to, and it's seamless, you'll see the hands. Does anyone know that Illustrator has life trace? Does anyone know what life trace is? Okay, I'm gonna show you. Life trace is basically taking an image and Illustrator will convert it to a bitmap with all anchors. Okay, let me go into it right now. So before we do that repeat, I want to live trace this, but how am I going to do it? First, make sure you have your top handle bar on top with all the choices, correct? If you have your top handle bar, you see that bar with all the choices here? Make sure that if you don't have it, go to Windows, go to Workspace, go to Essential Classic. Okay, done. Because as soon as I click on this image, notice what options it's giving me. It says image trace. Correct? I'm gonna image trace. Clicky. Done. That's black and white. That's not what I wanted though. If you image trace, click on it and you drop down menu and you put 16 colors. My computer's gonna kill herself now. We wait and wait. And wait. It takes a bit. It's 16 colors. Not only that, we have go to object, we go to span. It will span it for us, meaning object and fill. This is all in Illustrator for you to change. It's not an image anymore. It's all bitmap. Okay? For example, and I chose her print because I wanted you to see it more accurately. So let's just go back before that happens. This is the original. It's just an image. We go to image trace in the drop down arrow and let's just put it in 3 colors because that's what I want. I want minimalistic maybe. It's gonna do automatically choose those 3 colors for me. Done. It's not the best, but I can work with this. You understand, guys? Now let's just put it this way. Let's go back. I think there's a 6 color one. Yep, let's do 6 colors instead. And we do it. And it does it for us also. This is really good when you're trying to not overthink how to do a very realistic picture and just try to make it into a print that is printable, because photorealistic pictures are not going to be able to print in normal printing machines in fabric. So I want to change certain colors for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to span it. And what does mean span? This is flattened, but it's bitmap. Remember, this is not pixels, this is bitmap. So it's like Illustrator drew every little section and separated it. That's why you don't see any pixels or gradations. Like when you see Photoshop, you will see little pixels, how to combine colors. No, this is just one blob is this section, the other blob is another, and they have colors together. That's why it looks a little blotchy, right? So you just go and you go into span, and you go, okay, we spanned it. And you can even go click on this, take out the white section out. And maybe I want her ring to be yellow now again. And just click on those sections and it already did it for me. So yellow, there you go. kind of looks it, but doesn't look it. Okay, so we're gonna do this again. Don't worry, Bensy. So for example, this one, just make sure, one of the things about live trace, you need to make sure you have the top bar options. If you don't, go to Windows, go to Workspace, Essential Classic. Click on the image. Once you click on the image, it should show image trace. Next to it is a drop-down arrow, and you can choose the colors. This is 6 colors that I chose. I'm going to choose 6 colors. So I'm going to choose 6 colors, and my computer is going to do it for me. And it takes a bit. Some RAMs in some computers might not be able to handle this at all because the RAM is too big. So these are really good. Let's just say you put pictures from the internet and you don't want to trace something from scratch, then the black and white option is really good. So either way, here it is. I'm going to go to, I want to separate the colors even more. So I go to Object, go to Span. So that means it's going to span all the colors that I chose, that were 6. I'm going to take out the white. Now I can click on different sections. Maybe I want to change different colors to it, like that yellow. And there you go, done. And it's all Illustrator. Now you understand that, guys? Why I was saying, like, there's sometimes we can have full classes on this, and she can do all of this right now. For example, I have one of, it is Alex's, correct? So then, let's just say I want this leopard thing. I control copy. I go into it, and you can also control copy layers, by the way. If it will do it, I don't know. She does not want to do it today. Let's just drop it in. There you go. So let's just say, oh, I don't want to do this from scratch. So you go to image trace. Make sure your picture is not linked. Image tracing does not work with linked pictures. You need to rasterize your picture. Okay, so right now we're fine because it's not an X. It doesn't mean that it's linked. So there you go. Let's do 6. And it should do it. Oh, look at that. It did a pretty quick job now. Expand it. And I can use this to my repeat, if anything, to just help me figure out the color situations. I can color it really quick. Now, does this help you with your mood page? Yes, it does. Because you have to think of it. If I wanted to add a texture, I don't have to draw the texture from scratch. I can just try to live trace it. Okay? Because it will do it for me. So there you go. That's one way of doing things with prints. Now, the other part is, how long did it take you to recolor things, guys? For stripes? Took a lot. Yes. Exactly. But how about if I told you could see stripe coloring really quickly without thinking? Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how to do it. That's fine. We're gonna do it right now. Because when you create a stripe from scratch, you're putting the colors already. But what we're gonna do now, we're gonna recolor really quickly Illustrator, automatic. Not exactly. We're gonna recolor it, but differently. Remember shift hue in Photoshop that you could just take one little box and you just drop it all in, meaning this. This is here, Command U, and you were able to look at my bag. You were able to recolor it really quickly. You cannot necessarily do it in Illustrator, but you kind of can't. Illustrator is good with color, but not as good as Photoshop because it's not going to give you as much texture. But we created that stripe from scratch using Bitmap Illustrator, correct? So if I did that, then I'm going to click on my stripe piece. And right here, like really, really close, right here, remember, your taskbar needs to be on top for you to see it. You see that little color wheel? Click it. Oh, what does that mean? If I rotate it, it changes colors for me. because it's going, you see how it's just finding the colors where they are, and they're just doing, this is a very quick way of changing color based on color theory. That's what it is. Think about it. I can even change it based on, let's just say I want it darker. But what about if you have really specific Pantones? You go into advanced options, and then they give it to you very specifically what you want to do with it. You see that little, this is the original, next to it is the color that changes. So you click on whatever boxes, and you change the bottom. Whatever color you want. So you can do automatic, or you can do individual. But as a reminder, this only works when one, all your artwork is done in bitmap. Meaning, you notice how we live trace those hands? You can recolor it because now it's not an image, it's a bitmap file, okay? Does that make sense now? This is gonna help you to figure it out, because sometimes you might not be able to see, oh, okay, I wanna see that stripe really quickly. I don't know if I wanna review everything all at once. You can automatically automate it, because sometimes you don't know what color you want. So there you go. For example, if I were to do this, it's not the same way. You notice, okay, let me show you. You notice that the options that I have are only, look at these colors. Those colors are only for the circles that I did in bitmap. Remember those? In the print. I added circles. Look at these circles. Remember, those circles are created in Photoshop. But that image is not changing because it's not a bitmap image. Only bitmap elements change with this automated tool. Does that make sense now? Yeah. Okay, perfect. So now let's just do it this way. If I were to just click on these fans and I decided to, oh, it's not giving me the option to live trace. Now it does. 1 second, let's just put 3 colors. Let's see what happens with this. Not so pretty. Let's do 6 colors and call it a day so we can see it. I want to show you what I mean by recoloring too. Okay, perfect. And we're going to do this one 6 colors. Sometimes when you have different images all at once, you might have to do one by one when you do live trace. You have to think of it as the RAM might not be big enough for the whole computer to do it all at once. So then what we're going to do then is we're going to select the images on both sides, and then we're going to go to Object, and we're going to span to make it even more bitmap. So I can see every little position, and I can see every little position, take out the white. I don't need it. Then what I'm going to do is select it all. I just want you to see the difference. Select it all, where are you? Go to repeat. Sorry, go to pattern, go to make. And let's just do a really quick pattern, just so we can just play with this. So okay, it is done. I'm not doing anything else. I'm gonna put it in the dress again, my new pattern. That's my pattern now, but the difference is when I click that color wheel on top, you see how many more colors I have? I can now automate it all at once. Does that make sense now? Only automated colors when you recolor in Illustrator, only as a bitmap. If it's an image, it's not going to recolor for you unless you live trace it. Now you get it? That saved me so much time, and I can, especially if you're doing a quick rendering. Sometimes you might not be, and I can even change some of the colors too. There you go. Little by little. You can play with this, or you can go to advanced options and you can go one by one. Sometimes you use this mainly because you have a very specific Pantone, and it's not showing the color wheel because you don't know if that's the Pantone, so you might just do it by Pantone name, okay? It gets annoying, but it's done Pantone correctly. Is this making it So I want you to just practice your prints. I'm debating if I want you to do you know what? The homework is to do also one recoloring of your print. 2 colorways. Does that make sense? Oh, yeah. So you can do it simply. If you even have strokes or things, as long as they're bitmap, you can easily recolor it. Okay? Okay. So the other thing is, let me introduce you to the wand. This right here, if I click on this, look, it shows up all the orange. If I click on here, it will show up all the orange in France. Why? One here is not the same as the Photoshop one. It's not looking at pixel, it's looking at stroke, and it's looking at the fill. So if you ever want to change it, you go to one, double click, and oh, where are you? You double click, and you see right here, fill tolerance, not 32, let's do a 5. I do want the stroke color too to be the same, but also the tolerance will be 30. So that will be a different selection. It will only be the sleeves instead of everything else that was almost close to brown. It's a little different because with Photoshop, it was whatever color you found next to that color, it's fine. With Illustrator, it takes into account the stroke, okay? So sometimes you might not even, let's just say if I decide, I don't want a fill color, I only want the stroke, and I want anything with that stroke size. Look what happens. Everything's selected. Because my tolerance for stroke is 32, meaning out of all of these strokes, I want as close as possible within 32 difference. So all the strokes were selected because they're really close to each other. Okay? That's one thing. This will help you to recolor prints. If by any chance you're like, for example, I have these fans, let me change my colors. I want fill color and I only want the tolerance to be 2, so I only want very specific orange. There you go. I chose all the oranges that I needed, and maybe I just want to change it to manually really quickly to a coral. Or maybe I just want to change all of those white, all the off pink to a very light yellow. Because I don't necessarily want to go, I don't want to automate in the color wheel, because that will be changing all the colors at once. I just want to change one color, okay? Instead of you trying to look where is that white color, you can use the wand. Just make sure when you double click, it's on the right option settings, okay? Because if it's not going to select what you want. Okay? That's it. I think for the homework, I'll say one print, one colorway of that print, and you can use whatever sketch to fill it in. I just need to see it. Okay, perfect.